Karine Jean-Pierre once again manipulates data to push the Biden administration's agenda. We have police officers being harassed and cursed at by toddlers. And we have COVID-19 making a comeback this fall, along with Joe Biden being soft on China. All this and more here on The Bald Brad Show. Welcome to The Bald Brad Show. Folks, it's July 12th, Tuesday morning, and I couldn't be happier that you're willing to spend it with me here on The Bald Brad Show, going over all the news and information that you need to know about. And there's a ton of it, folks. Some of it is quirky, some of it is interesting, and some of it is just quite frankly nerve-wracking, folks. And as you watch this show, don't forget it's Amazon Prime Day. I'm not a sponsor or being sponsored by Amazon Prime. But heck, folks, after the show and after you hit that like and subscribe button, go over and get those deals. You deserve a little something for yourself. And with that being said, I also want to thank everybody who joined me on our live stream yesterday as we covered the White House briefing. We had a lot of laughs, a lot of giggles, and a lot of commentary to go over. And that leads me and segues me into my lead story of the day regarding Karine Jean-Pierre taken to the podium yesterday, manipulating data and furthering Biden's agenda on his war against the gas stations. It's truly astonishing. With that being said, she's going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the economy with inflation just going through the roof, and she kind of just underskirts that as like it's not a big deal. And then watch what she does with the numbers here, folks, and we're going to analyze these numbers all together and go through it together. With that being said, let's roll it.
So on Wednesday, we will have new CPI inflation data, and we expect the headline number, which includes gas and food, to be highly elevated, mainly because gas prices were so elevated in June. Gas and food.
You see how she just like throws it under the rug? Yeah, you know, it's going to be elevated. It's because of gas prices, and gas prices cause food prices to go up.
Prices continue to be heavily impacted by the war in Ukraine. And there are a few important points
Putin's fault again.
To keep in mind when we get this backwards-looking data. First, June CPI data is already out of date because energy prices have come down substantially this month and are expected to fall further. The average retail price of gas was 11% higher in June than it was in May. And the cost of gas in July is already down 7% from the June peak. I have a chart here for you guys to see. The crude oil is the yellow, the crude oil is the blue at the bottom, and the retail gasoline price is at the top, and you can see the difference there. I would also note that even though gas prices shot up quickly when oil prices rose, they have not come down as quickly as oil has. We continue to call on oil and gas companies to pass on their lower costs to consumers. American families should not be the first to pay and the last to benefit. The president's number one economic priority is tackling inflation, and looking ahead, there are a number of reasons why
I gotta ask you guys, I'm sorry that she's been saying this for weeks now. The first to pay and the last to benefit. Can somebody, for the love of God, tell me what that means? I don't know what that means. The last to benefit. I feel like both parties are mutually going and purchasing something or selling something, right? I mean, you have the gas station selling a product, and you as a consumer are voluntarily going to that gas station and purchasing that product, meaning gas, from those people, and you're both benefiting, right? I don't know what she means, the last to benefit. Because that's where it ends. I'm so baffled by it. Somebody, for the love of God, let me know in the comments. Can't figure it out.
Expect those high prices to ease over the coming months. Saturday marked the one-year anniversary of President Biden's executive order to promote competition across the American economy. This EO prompted a government-wide effort to help lower prices, raise wages, and encourage innovation.
Lower prices, but increase wages. Does that make sense to anybody? I mean, you're just basically asking people, hey, we want you to cut your margins. We want you to make less profit. We want you to hurt yourselves and shoot yourself in the foot on our behalf. And I love this aspect that she's going to boast about higher wages. Higher wages inflates the economy. And she's talking about this whole thing on inflation. Everything's Putin's fault. But yet you literally campaigned on the campaign trail about increasing the federal minimum wage from $7.50 to $15 an hour. Thank God that didn't happen, but you're still trying to push for it. I mean, remember when Biden leaned into the mic and was like, it's in your hands now. You have the bargaining chips. All weird and stuff like that. So they don't get it. They literally don't understand how the economy works. They're going to boast about all these things, and then they're shocked, right? The Democrats are always shocked when stuff gets really expensive after they just got done voting in more minimum wage hikes. And so that's why you got a Panda Express across the street from me. That's literally $20 an hour. They're paying $20 an hour to take a ladle and take pre-cooked food and scoop it onto a plate. I'm not kidding. $20 an hour for that. Or to work at Taco Bell to take your gloves and dip it into pre-cooked meat and put it in a taco that's already pre-made for somebody. $20 an hour, then they can't fathom. They can't fathom why they're paying like $10 for a burrito or taco. It's so baffling. Like, oh, these people deserve to get paid more. They deserve, oh my God, this is so expensive. This is outrageous. This is just outrageous. Can you believe it, Susan? Can you believe we're paying $10 for a burrito? These people just aren't getting paid enough. Where's it? It's going in the pockets of those damn CEOs and board members, the millionaires. It's going in the billionaires' pockets. It's, that was Bernie Sanders. It's a terrible impression, but you all know what I mean. You all know where I'm going with this. It's ridiculous.
And 1 year in, we're extraordinarily proud of the progress we've made. Just a few examples on this is the Department of Justice and the Federal Trade Commission have already scored big wins for Americans. They have locked mega mergers in the insurance and sugar industries and stopped a defense contractor mega merger that would have cost taxpayers billions of dollars.
Winning.
In just a few months,
winning
Americans
on all
with
fronts.
Hearing loss will be able to buy hearing aids over the counter at a drugstore instead of requiring a prescription, which could save them thousands of dollars. And the Department of Agriculture is cracking down on the meat processing industry.
When you're talking about people buying hearing aids, and look, I'm all for it. I'm not against it. I'm just saying when you're talking about people being able to buy hearing aids over the counter, I mean, you are literally scraping at the bottom of the barrel to find any good news from your administration to put it out there to the public. Am I not wrong, folks? Does that not already deserve a like and subscribe right there for pointing that out? When you start talking about shit like that, you're like, do we have anything, Joe? Joe, do we have anything? And his earache falls out, And, oh, let's look up some about hearing aids. God. This administration is something else, folks.
And supporting new competitors so farmer and ranchers get a fair price. Our administration will continue driving structural change to produce lower prices, higher wages, and to make our economy dynamic and competitive.
Make our economy dynamic and competitive. I mean, maybe on a domestic level, yeah, you're going to create more competition. It's tough to do that when, yes, you're increasing wages, but you're also going to be increasing your price at the same time because you're going to pass it down to the consumer, especially if you're a public entity. But on a freaking global level, you increasing higher wages sometimes prices yourself out of the market. We've seen this with the automobile industry where these union workers were getting way too greedy. And so finally, the manufacturing was just like, hell, we'll take it to Mexico. We'll take it to other places. They're willing to do it cheaper. So you just price yourself out of the market. And so there's also that danger as well. But we don't want to talk about those things, folks. We want to talk about hearing aids and other things you can get over the counter and stopping certain defense contractors from saving taxpayers, millions or billions of dollars or whatever the hell she wants to spew.
Following a briefing from NASA, the president and the vice president will unveil.
Okay, so she's going to go into unveiling the whole James Webb Telescope, which is cool. Those pictures come out later on today. I do want to go over the image here that she's talking about because this is important. And I want to talk about a manipulation and misrepresentation of data. Now, understandably, this graph on the vertical axis, also known in algebra as the y-axis, doesn't start at 0. Okay, it starts at 85. They have to do this because if you zoom that graph out, it would look flat and they would look like they merged together. You wouldn't see any data. But she's all up in arms about the aspect of a 60-cent difference here. Mind you, she's utilizing that difference of 60 cents as of basically a couple days ago. But this is within the last 2-3 weeks, right? I mean, the difference in price between retail gasoline and crude oil, you're talking pennies here. So she's losing her crap, and the White House are creating this whole uproar with retail gasoline stations going, oh, well, we're not seeing the exact negative slope here that we are with the crude oil. Well, yeah, they just got done inheriting billions of dollars worth of losses because you guys shut the entire economy down. I also want to show you this. I'm going to slide this over here for y'all to take a look. Just because the retail price will say $4.70, right? What was it? Let's look again. What was it? Yeah, $4.70. In that is taxes, distribution and marketing, refining, and then you have the crude oil. So that differential there on the taxes, distribution, marketing, refining doesn't always go in their pockets. So that profit isn't always being seen on that retail price, which is, it's disingenuous to be pushing out there to the American public saying, look at the profits they're making. It's literally pennies. And so that gap of 60 cents is definitely a lot less in terms of profit making there. You're only including the crude oil there. So this is how they manipulate data. This is how they further push their narrative, and they're going to blame it all on Putin. They're not going to blame it on themselves. You're going to have Democrats come out and call them out there for this BS here on the stuff they're trying to push. And you wouldn't expect them to have a specific decline and cater their prices to the crude oil necessarily, because they have to sit there and gauge what the market behavior is doing. And what I mean by that, and you're going to see a news article here in a moment, is Joe Biden and his health secretary or secretary of health and the aides within his administration are talking about COVID-19 making a comeback this fall. So why would they hurt their own profit margins, having the potential of going back into another, I don't know, lockdown maybe, or certain mandates put in place that's going to hurt business owners, that's going to hurt the American people? Furthermore, a recession is the possibility of happening. So why would they cater to certain narratives that are negatively going to impact their business and their business model? So you got these knuckleheads out here in the White House lying to all of you. And I want to make sure I pointed that out. She kept going with a bunch of other stuff. And I love that the other people in the administration before her were echoing this whole thing on the Putin's fault, but they're going to continue to chauffeur this out. It's unbelievable. And did you hear her talk about the CPI data in June? It's like, let me just tell you, she said this. She said, June CPI data is already out of date because energy prices have come down substantially this month and are expected to fall further. Because she sees like a couple cents drop. They pushed this whole thing too, where there was a 3 cent decrease. I think it was like 3.17 or 3.7 decrease in gas price. And they were like shouting how, oh, this is the biggest drop since 2008. Like 3 cents. That doesn't do anything for anybody. It's the same way Joe Biden's tapping into the petroleum reserve. It's a drop in the bucket. It doesn't do anything. And then he sends it to China. Wait till we get into this. Wait till the last story I have for all of you today. It's going to piss you off. It got my blood going. But without further ado, let's move further into what she's pushing here. So drivers have been facing significant pain at the pump since Joe Biden's basically been in office. As of Monday, AAA's national average price, folks, was $4.67. The figure has declined slightly since it surpassed the $5 mark last month, which is why they're trying to boast the numbers here and why they're trying to push the whole, again, narrative that the retail price is different and their profit margins aren't what they should be. They should be taking a hit for the American people, which is no reason for it. You also had the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is slated to release its new CPI data, I believe, tomorrow. And that the CPI report released last month noted that the all items index increased 8.6% for the 12-month ending May, the largest 12-month increase since December 1981. Yeah, things are that bad, folks. But she's going to be, we got to just have, numbers are going to be slightly inflated. So be on the lookout for that. But increased wages, low unemployment, things are just looking so good right now. And then goes on about hearing aids. So it's just, that's what the administration's pushing. That's everything that's going on right now with them as far as yesterday. Guys, I wish you joined us in the live stream. It's just unbelievable the stuff they went over. Well, speaking of unbelievable stuff, what happened in St. Paul, Minnesota that's being pushed on Twitter is just astonishing. I've seen videos like this and we need to cover it because it's so ridiculous. So you had a disturbing video that took place again in Minnesota that shows these diaper-clad black toddlers cursing and attacking police officers. I'll show you the clip in a moment. It is baffling that stuff like this happens. alphanews.org, who posted the video online, said it was shot as the officers attempted to execute a search warrant for a murder suspect. So you're not like pulling anybody over, not, going after somebody for having a cigarette on the side of the street or jaywalking, like the Black Lives Matter, like the push. Oh, you just pulled somebody over for no reason. A search warrant that they had to go get from a judge to go after a murder suspect. So these two toddlers can be seen punching, kicking, cursing, and throwing rocks at them, telling them to F off, calling them bitches, and punching them. Folks, when I show you this, it's just going to make your blood go. It's going to make your blood go. Let's go ahead and roll it.
I'm frying his ass. His deep fried Oreo head ass.
I said, I got one of them in a fry pan. They ass gonna burn.
Isn't that wild? Isn't that the craziest thing you've seen in a while? Where's Black Lives Matter on this? Where are they at? Where are Democrats on this going, hey, that's bad? I mean, it's blowing up on the news. It's not like this is just, I mean, I found it, right? I didn't have to look hard. It was trending. So this is the stuff that Black Lives Matter supports, that they're all for. They want police officers to be treated like this. For some reason, people are baffled that something like this is happening, where I'm going, as a teacher, this happens all across the United States all the time to teachers. Like, if they're willing to do this to police officers on camera, can you imagine how they're treating teachers in the classroom with no cameras, with no parents around them? I did a story about a couple months ago on Prince County. I think it's called Prince County in Las Vegas or in Nevada. And they had about 1,300 arrests and citations in one school year alone. And it wasn't even the end of the school year. I think it was January, February that we covered that. I got a couple buddies that work in that county, and it's just rampant where people are being shot or potentially stabbed. I had a friend years ago get stabbed in Long Beach, California, working in Los Angeles County education system. This stuff's wild. And it's like, I'm being dead serious. It is rampant. And they say like racist things to a black officer. Did you hear what they said? Calling him a deep fried Oreo head? Like that's acceptable. But you're not going to see Black Lives Matter stepping in. You're not going to see them caring about this situation here. You know, and it doesn't even have to be about race. This is just a lack of parenting, a lack of values. And these kids are going to grow up attacking police officers, potentially committing heinous crimes. I mean, it goes down to the parent level. And it makes you wonder why those kids are out there in the first place, not wearing clothes, not wearing shoes, out there on the side of the street harassing police officers in the first place. Where's the parents on this? Where's those around them that are supposed to be protecting these children and actually inculcating values that are going to allow them not to do these types of things? They should be excited to see police officers. They should be friendly, but they're not, because you have the left-wing media outlets pushing defund the police. You have people like Maxine Waters, AOC, Ilhan Omar, half the Democrat Party wanting to defund the police, pushing all this negative propaganda out about them. So now you got little kids growing up, an entire generation like those kids that are harassing police officers, hitting police officers. Just put yourself in the little kid's shoes when you were tiny. Would you ever fathom to hit a police officer or cuss at an officer? Let alone just an adult in general. Would you ever just hit an adult or cuss at an adult? Like, if I ever did anything like that, my parents would hit me so hard my head would spin. So I'm baffled that, you know, some people are baffled, but it's just sad to see the state of where we're at as a society, because these kids are going to grow up, and these are the kids you see on TV fleeing from the police, not pulling over on a frequent routine traffic stop because they didn't turn on their turn signal, or they did a, you know, what we call a California roll at a stop sign where they didn't stop entirely at the stop sign. So they get pulled over for that, but then they run, they shoot at the cops while they're on that chase. Then they get out of their car, either pull a firearm on the cops or shoot the cops, or they get killed. And then Black Lives Matter throws their hands up in the air going, what the hell? He had his hands up. He said, don't shoot, as he's freaking firing at the guy. You know, where are they at? They're not anywhere to be found. That's the thing, because they don't care. You know, they want your money so that they can go buy their $6 million mansions or ever how much it costs in white neighborhoods, the same white neighborhoods that they hate because they're Marxist. They're known Marxists. They literally said so themselves. So they want to go after all these people, yet they want to live amongst them. So the police could be seen trying to calm the children, reaching out to them, only to have the kids lunge in and hit them. Honestly, I'm really surprised he just didn't like push him over with two fingers and just like get away from me. You know, but like I said, this stuff's going to be okay. They're all for it because they don't like police officers. So you had some people commenting on that thread on Twitter saying, these are not parents. This child has so much violence and hate that I don't think he has ever had a person read to him, cook him a meal that he can rely on daily, give him a hug daily. He has only seen ugliness and can't imagine how he is spoken to and beaten daily. This he knows. I mean, I don't know if this Christina person knows more than I do in terms of him being beaten. I didn't see any bruises or anything on that. I think this person maybe kind of has a different idea of what's taking place. I think the parents talk a lot of crap on cops. Clearly, they're probably criminals or do something bad because they're literally there for a search warrant for a murder suspect. So things aren't going all, okay in the first place. We don't know if he's being beaten, but I mean, he needs a little bit of an ass whooping, I'll tell you that much. So much rage, that's normal for a kid. Also, not normal out on the street, unsupervised in underwear. 100% agree. Neglected, abused, and totally berated of hope. Why are we as a culture accepting this? And how do we turn it around? No child should live like this. Well, look, you can't spank your kids like we grew up with. When I did something wrong and Papa found out, that hand on the behind definitely set me straight real quick. My grandma walked around the house. My grandma grew up in World War II. My grandfather was in Pearl Harbor on the USS Reed, and she walked around the house with a belt around her neck. So you ain't messing around with that. You can't do that nowadays, because then you get child services on you. And I'm not saying you got to hit the kid. I'm not saying you got to abuse the kid. That is not what I'm saying. I'm not for that. And I'm not saying every kid needs to be spanking. Some kids will look at their parents and go, "Oh man, I let you down. I'm sincerely apologize." But some kids do need a whipping. I'm not saying you got to beat the piss out of them or anything like that, but a little spanking or whatever, straighten the kid out. But that kid, I hope he figures things out in life. That's all I can hope for, because treating police officers like that, it's sad. And that's where we're at as society. That was tweeted by True Science saying this is really sad. I mean, I think that's spoken by all people that watch that. And you feel bad for police officers, and that's why they're having a mass exodus of police officers and teachers. It's because of the way that you have the general public speaking about teachers and police officers in terms of, harassment or things that they say. It's always their fault. It's never the student's fault, or it's the administration's fault, but it's never the parents' fault. Whatever it may be, both sides are to blame at some point on certain situations. But that's enough that I have to say about that. That's coming again from St. Paul, Minnesota. Speaking of just crazy crap, and I want to correlate this to the gas prices, you have Biden's top official warning the public that there's going to be basically a resurgence of COVID-19 in the fall, and basically preparing people for the possibility of the worst. And when I read you some of the things that these scientists, I'm putting them in quotes, are saying about this new variant, it's quite astonishing because they have no evidence, but they're going to still spew all this stuff. So we'll get there in a moment. But as most Americans are moving past this pandemic, you had President Joe Biden's top official being chauffeured out, sounding the alarm yesterday, a couple days ago. I believe it was Monday or Tuesday, that existing or new variants of COVID may resurge toward the end of this year. Quote, "Come this fall and winter, most everyone who is an expert on pandemics and these viruses will tell you that there's a strong chance we will see a resurgence on the virus, whether it's the variants that we have now or the new variants." I mean, who are you talking about? Anthony Fauci, that nobody believes anymore? I'll tell you what, Senator. I'll tell you what. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't have a damn idea what you are talking about. The viruses, Anthony Fauci, he's going to say whatever he can to get an extra buck, the highest paid government official. I get pissed with Karine Jean-Pierre making $180,000 to manipulate data and lie to our faces. He gets paid more than the president, I believe. Isn't that crazy? Can you imagine Joe Biden? What is it, $400,000 now for the president a year? Joe Biden? God. That's how great our country is, man. You can make $20 an hour scooping food onto a plate. You can be president of the United States and not have your brain work. You could be the White House press secretary and lie and spin things every single day with no consequences and still get a paycheck like that every 2 weeks. I believe governments get paid every month, but you know what I mean. It's freaking ridiculous. So he's saying that we got to be ready for this. Now, Becerra, who listed ending the pandemic as his top priority when appointed to the position, renewed the public health emergency orders on April 12th for another 90 days with an expiration date of July 15th, which is going to happen by the end of the week. While Bloomberg News reported on Monday that the Biden administration would push the COVID emergency health orders back, since HHS did not issue a 60-day notice that states since the last renewal, which the department pledged to do if it decided to terminate the orders. Since he took his position shortly after Biden assumed office last year, Becerra has extended the public health emergency orders 5 freaking times. They're going to hold on to this, you guys. They're going to hold on to it. And notice that it's coming this fall. Do you remember what happens this fall? It's a thing called midterm elections. So you got that coming up. Look at Twitter users flooded the tweet with comments saying the so-called resurgence would rise from the midterm variant. As Becerra hinted, the spike could happen around 2022 midterm elections in November. How convenient. How convenient. All of a sudden you shut things down. Mask mandates, can't go to the polls. Oh, we had to ship you 5 ballots again. How'd that happen? That's weird. Becerra's COVID concerns emerged the same day legacy media circulated reports of scientists warning Americans of new coronavirus mutant spreading in India and other countries, including the United States. Check this out. This is such a crazy statement. So the Associated Press reported that scientists said the new variant, quote, may stand against immunity, previous infections, and vaccines. However, the effects of the mutation remain unclear. So they're going to say all these outlandish things. May stand against immunity, previous infections, and vaccines. Like, everything we did is not going to work. Everybody's going to be sick again. We're going to go down the drain once again. But hey, you know, oil companies, make sure that you take a hit right now, because when we shut everything down coming this November for the midterm elections, you're going to lose billions again. And that's okay, because that's our agenda. We want you to lose billions because we don't like OPEC, because we're the Democrat Party. We want you obsolete. And then, isn't it, I mean, the fact that they're saying that the immunity, previous infections, and vaccines may not work and have no effect, and it remains unclear. They're basically going to espouse a bunch of stuff and create a bunch of fear mongering on data that they don't even have. They're just guessing. It's so crazy. It's still really early for us to draw too many conclusions. This comes from the director of clinical virology at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. But it does look like, especially in India, the rates of transmission are showing kind of that exponential increase. I don't know what he means by kind of. It either is or isn't exponential. So I don't have the picture in front of me, but it's just astonishing that they're going to push this stuff. Be like, yeah, you know, how can I put it? I want to make a correlation here. It's like AOC with her Green New Deal saying the world's going to end in 10 years, and it doesn't end because she doesn't have any data, and she just espouses a bunch of shit that doesn't make sense. And so nothing happens. And then, you know, they get away with this. Like, what? Well, you're all going to die. Like, sir, we have a 99.9% rate of survival. Lock everything down. Don't touch one another. This thing's gonna kill everybody. It's like, no, it's not. I mean, you're literally have a 0.01% chance of dying for most people. But that's the type of fear mongering they're gonna push because they want power. They want control. That's everything the Democrat Party wants. Now, speaking of power and control, I have a feeling here on this next story that Joe Biden is in the pockets of China. In the pockets of the media. Somebody has control of this man, because the amount of information that we have on Hunter Biden, and it's continually coming out. I mean, his iCloud server was just hacked, and it's nothing but naked pictures, him doing drugs, like snorting cocaine off a freaking prostitute's ass crack, and nothing. No, the media's like, oh, it's normal, it's fine. No, it's just Hunter Biden doing his thing again. But like Trump shakes a little bit with a water glass, and they lose their minds over it. That was a real story, if you guys recall. Donald Trump just was taking a sip of water and his hand was shaking slightly. And it was all this whole thing. He needs to be evaluated. His mind isn't clear. We need to get him checked. Do people know what's going on with the president? He's insane. You have Joe Biden falling upstairs, hitting a golf ball backwards, falling off his bike when he's stationary, fighting with his teleprompter, repeat the line, like on a note card telling him to sit down. All these things that have been public. Oh, it's normal. He's just old man. He's just 79. Look what he can do. He's just amazing. Joy Behar, he told me that he works out every day. The guy could barely pick up his feet. What do you mean working out? They literally put his bicycle in the back of the SUV and drove him from the White House to a specific place behind a tree line so that he could just bike ride 50 yards and then fall over. And nobody's going to cover any of this. So amid Hunter's ongoing scandals, Biden is going soft on China. He hasn't done jack crap. And wait till I give you the evidence of it, folks. You're going to lose your crap. I'm sorry. I know it's Tuesday. I'm not looking to piss you off. But look, we're all in this together. It's like that song from High School Musical. We're all in this together. I don't sing. I apologize. So it took a certain bloodless goose path for the president to place his scandal-ridden son front and center at the White House function last week. Hunter Biden, age 52, popped up at Thursday's Medal of Freedom ceremony. To glad hand and network from his front row perch even as he awaits indictment by a grand jury in Delaware over his shady foreign business dealings, most lucratively in China. Where's all the investigative journalists about this? Remember, like, Bob Woodward is still chauffeured out and trotted out for freaking Watergate like 40 or 50 years ago. And you have no investigative journalism coming out on this, going, hey, this is what I found. Here are the documents. This is the stuff that we released. Like, everything's leaked and put on like 4chan. You have like these outlets, people that didn't even go to school for journalism, that are doing these other careers, are doing more journalism than actual journalists are nowadays. It is freaking mind-blowing. Just one day earlier, you had the FBI director, Christopher Wray, and his British MI5 counterpart. Well, they made an appearance together, which hardly ever happens, and they talked about how that there's serious security and economic threats that are being posed by China. Now, this isn't anything new. We as America have known this, where they're aiming to steal our intellectual property and basically corrupt our politics. And it's not just coming from China, but it's also coming from Russia. So also on Wednesday, you had U.S. intelligence officials issuing a bulletin to state and local officials where they are warning of an escalating campaign by China to manipulate and influence politicians, push Washington for China-friendly policies. This isn't anything new, but the purpose that we need to bring all this up is nothing's being done by President Joe Biden on China. Biden has gone soft on China literally since he became president, and honestly, even before he was president. You had this done with Barack Obama as well, being soft on China and also being soft on Iran, which is why we got the Iran nuclear deal as complete garbage, and Trump talked about it. To put it in perspective, Thomas Sowell, who doesn't really talk shit on anybody, thinks that Barack Obama is the worst president in U.S. history because of that deal. And you have Joe Biden now handling our foreign affairs with everybody and trying to negotiate currently a new deal with Iran. It's not going to happen. If this guy runs our foreign policy any way that he runs his domestic policy, we're in trouble. We're in big trouble. So here are a few examples of how he's gone soft. This first one, you're going to fall over in your seat, folks. So either stand up or be prepared here, because you're going to be going, how is this not being investigated by Congress? Who's not? Why is nobody looking into this? Like, who's not into this whole aspect of what Hunter Biden's doing? So he diverted at least 1 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. We've talked about that, and you go, yeah, I heard about this, Brad, whatever. But he sent it to Chinese state-owned gas giant Sinopec, which Hunter had invested in through his 10% stake in Chinese private equity firm BHR. It just somehow slipped into the hands of Hunter Biden's private business equity firm BHR. Just so happened to just fall on their lap. 1 million barrels. Nothing from the Democrat Party. Nothing from Congress. All cool with it. Can you just imagine if this was one of Trump's kids? He also disbanded the China Initiative, a national security program set by the Trump administration to combat China's economic espionage at universities and research institutions. Remember that whole thing under Trump? He was talking about how these people were coming in and basically committing economic espionage, and they're within our universities and our institutions. And in some way, shape, or form, sometimes they were even getting their tuition paid for. But I was like, hey, it's fine. You create espionage, take our property, it's fine. Take all our research that we're doing here. It's just so baffling. That's why I think he's in the pocket of the Chinese. The Chinese have some dirt on him and Hunter, I'm telling you. Has to be. He revoked Trump-era restrictions against TikTok, instead promising a national security review, as if that's going to do anything. A national security review. This almost sounds like, again, the Iran nuclear deal. I understand they're two vastly different things, but it was like the whole idea of like, hey, would you just let us come in and like kind of take a little peek-see at you every once in a while? We'll make sure we give you like a month notice that we're coming so you can clean up everything and make sure that we won't find it. And then we want to come in and just do a little bit of a peek and review. Will you be okay with that? That's the type of stuff they want to do here, but with a national security review, which has led to no action for over a year. Nothing's been done with it. This is just their fancy way of like doing stuff to appease the Chinese. The world's fastest growing social media platform, owned by the Chinese company BitDance, reportedly has repeatedly accessed U.S. users' private personal data. Now, to make you feel a little bit better, the Chinese, I believe it was a Chinese government or some institution in China recently did get hacked, where like 1 billion people's data did get released. So there is that. But it's not good when they're having access to U.S. users' private personal data and what they might be doing with it. Furthermore, in another unwinding of hard-line Trump policies, the Biden administration granted the Chinese tech giants Huawei a license to purchase chips used in automobile manufacturing, Reuters reported last year. So a lot of you might be thinking, well, who cares? It's just automated chips. Doesn't matter. The problem with this is, one, he's licensing these chips that are used in auto manufacturing to the Chinese, which shouldn't be allowed, especially everything they've done with COVID-19, and that he hasn't pressed on anything in terms of the origin of COVID-19, which we all feel it's coming out from the Wuhan virus or did come out from the Wuhan lab. But I have to be careful with how I say this because we'll be removed off YouTube. YouTube's basically in the pocket of China, I feel like, as well, along with like the NBA, right? With LeBron James. Everybody's in the pocket of China because China buys a lot of crap from the United States. Also, the purpose of the chip thing is there's been rumors out there that the Chinese have either developed or are trying to develop certain spy methods of implanting them in our chips and then sending them to the United States so they could spy and steal our intellectual property that way as well. So a lot of problems coming with China here, and Joe Biden's just not cognizant of it, or he is cognizant and he's just corrupt, or all of the above, and he's in the hand of or in the pockets of China and doesn't want anything being revealed about Hunter Biden's business dealings. He also suspended tariffs on Chinese solar panels, and he repeatedly is contemplating lifting further Trump tariffs against Chinese imports for no discernible benefit, by the way. Like, no discernible benefit to America. We have economists literally warning that any effect on soaring inflation would be minimal and short-lived. Basically, it's not going to do anything, so why do it in the first place? But this is the stuff he's going to push. And it's weird, right? It's weird. You send 1 million barrels, you're removing all these Trump things they put in place to, in some way, shape, or form, protect Americans, whether it's somebody in China trying to, do espionage or trying to take our intellectual property or whatever it may be. Trump put in place aspects that are supposed to protect us and our privacy, and Biden's like, you can have it all, who cares? So it's astonishing that such egregious concessions are even being contemplated while China has become Vladimir Putin's top financier in the war on Ukraine by buying discounted Russian oil and thus allowing the Kremlin to withstand Western sanctions. This malfeasance to China adds to well-founded concerns that Joe Biden is compromised by the Chinese Communist Party, given all the evidence on Hunter Biden's laptop about millions of dollars that flowed from China to his son and brother, Jim Biden. You know what's funny? You know where that quote comes from, that paragraph I just read? The New York Post. The New York Post. It's like embedded within there, right? I mean, I don't even know how. I'm like halfway through the page and it's just embedded there in a paragraph of like, oh, well, this is a malfeasance. This is like some corruption stuff. They found all this stuff on Joe Biden's laptop. It's funny because I was just told everything that was just posted right there that I read. I was told the other day by Karine Jean-Pierre that, this is just alleged material. Remember when Peter Doocy asked that question? And she was like, I don't answer those types of questions on the podium here, Peter. I don't talk about alleged stuff that may or may not have been from the laptop. It's like, it's literally, we can see it, lady. We can see it on the freaking internet. You have your own outlets that massage your shoulders and rub your own president's feet every day, coming out saying, look, a lot of stuff's coming out. This is pretty bad. So to be fair, Biden deserves praise for his involvement in both AUKUS, and hopefully I pronounced that right, the Trilateral Security Pact forged last year between Australia, United Kingdom, and the US, and a bunch of other people. It does help a little bit, so you have to give credit where credit is due. But other than that, I mean, that is really it. It's basically nothing. And I'm telling you, this article just goes on and on and on about the investments, about all the things that Hunter Biden did, things that continually get unraveled from this guy. And where is Congress? How many investigations have we had on Trump? The Russiagate, which was nothing. It was a nothing burger, all smoke, no fire. We went through that for 4 years. You have this January 6th committee hearing that literally had Hutchinson come out and say that Trump tried to take over the Beast, the limousine or SUV, either which one he was in, I don't know. But he also assaulted a Secret Service member. And that happened, like 2 weeks ago? I would like to point out that the Secret Service came out like yesterday and said, yeah, they haven't called us. They don't want any information from us. When they literally have already come out, the Secret Service said, yeah, none of this happened. It didn't happen the way that she explained it. It's not real. It's fake news. But they don't want to portray that. By the way, they knew that. The Congress, that committee knew that. They already had all this information beforehand, but they still wanted to trot this lady out and call an emergency hearing to do that kind of damage. They won't call an emergency hearing. They won't do anything in here. They don't want to investigate this on a federal level. Nothing, because it's Joe Biden. It's the Democrat Party. The everybody at the levels of the FBI and everybody else is all part of that party. They want to sit there and just have complete corruption. And I fully believe it. I fully believe it. When we had Trey Gowdy I believe it was South Carolina. And we also had Jason Chaffetz of Utah in Congress. Those are like the last two guys I had full like confidence in and trust. And they both left because they saw how corrupt it was and how nobody wanted to make any change for the better. And so they got out. And the books that they wrote, specifically Jason Chaffetz on the deep state, is going to blow your mind if you guys read it. Again, it's called The Deep State by Jason Chaffetz. And just go ahead and read everything that he put in there in terms of going to different countries. And you got these suits from America trying to block him. Mind you, he's the chairman of the government oversight committee, basically has clearance on almost all levels. And they try and stop him on certain aspects, especially dealing with Benghazi with Hillary Clinton. That was a nothing burger as well in terms of them trying to do all of that. It's just, we can go on for hours on the corruption of our own government, trying to stop certain things, but then only target the Republican and conservatives, i.e. Barack Obama utilizing the IRS to do audits on the freaking conservatives and Republicans. I was in accounting at that point in my time. I remember very specifically that taking down, and we were all baffled and we couldn't believe that the IRS was willing to do something like that on Obama's behalf. And then what he did, I don't know anything about this. It's like you have emails from your own Attorney General Eric Holder that talked about this to you. What do you mean you don't know anything about it? But folks, we can go on for hours with it. There you have it. You have Joe Biden continuing his manipulation, utilizing Karine Jean-Pierre to do it on the podium. You got freaking these kids harassing police officers, punching at them, cursing at them, really showing the tear in our social fabric and where our country is just going at down the drain. And then you also have them trying to push this whole COVID-19 thing, which, already preparing for the midterms, and then going to blame the oil companies as well as the gas stations on their prices in terms of what they're doing at the pump or at the retail price level in terms of selling gas, even though they're trying to prepare for the worst after they just took billions of dollars of losses and are maybe trying to compensate for the aspect of, hell, we might be shut down again. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. There's a lot of risk involved. We should capitalize on this while we can without actually making things extremely worse for the American public, because they could really hike up the prices if they wanted to, but they want to make war with everybody other than China here. They don't want to make war with, because a lot of us, including clearly the leftist media outlet, think that Joe Biden's in China's pocket there. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode here on this Tuesday, July 12th. Head over to Amazon, get those deals. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you later here on The Bald Brad Show.